Saludos desde Barcelona. So I thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that surprised us since we've come to live in Barcelona. So we picked out 7 things that just surprised us, mostly small things. And then at the end of the video, I have a life update and some pretty big news. So you're probably going to want to stay till the end. So enjoy. So the first thing is personal space. In America, if you go anywhere near somebody and you're going to say, excuse me, here, no. I think the only time I've actually had somebody say, excuse me, perdóneme, is when a woman stepped on my foot in the subway. She did say, perdóneme. But I mean, everyone else, you can get very, very close to people and it's not a big deal. Like I'm talking within centimeters and nobody bats an eye. And weirdly, I kind of like that. Yeah, I don't know. I've gotten used to it really fast. Thing 2, dogs. Barcelona should be called the city of dogs. I have never seen so many dogs anywhere in my entire life. Every time I go out to walk Monty, I see at least 5 dogs in a 10-minute walk. When I'm walking him in the evening for an hour, there might be 20, maybe more. Every other person seems to have a dog. And I also have to say I'm not a big fan of how people walk their dogs here. Quite a lot of people walk their dogs off leash. They apparently have trained them to follow them on their walk without a leash, which is cool, unless, like me, you are trying to wrangle a very reactive dog that hates all other dogs. I have had so many run-ins with dogs that were off leash that decided it was a good idea to come up to us and greet us. And it's not a good idea. It's a big problem. And their owners can't control them if they don't have them on a leash. So that sucks. Also, there's this custom that people seem to have where dog owners, when they see another dog owner coming, they'll stop and they sort of look at you, the other dog owner, as if to say, do you want to meet my dog? Right? Which is, again, really cool unless you are wrangling a very reactive dog that reacts very poorly to other dogs. I have had so many people stop right in my path with their dog. And I'm trying literally to run away from their dog because my dog will start a fight with their dog and probably lose because he only has 6 teeth. So that's fun. Yeah, lots and lots. Oh, and they go everywhere. They go everywhere. I've seen dogs in restaurants, grocery stores, other types of stores, literally everywhere. There doesn't seem to be anywhere that dogs don't go. Yeah, so dogs. Thing 3, military time. So I knew coming in that, Europe uses the metric system and that was going to be an adjustment, and it is. What I didn't expect was how widely used military time is here. And I first encountered it when I was doing apartment viewings. So we were scheduling times for me to go to apartments and see them. And those were always scheduled on 24-hour clock. And most other business interactions that I've had with businesses or with government are predicated on military time. Which I have to say, it's more accurate. It's not that they don't use the 12-hour clock. Sometimes people do. It's just that if you are actually scheduling something that you need to be there for, you generally use military time. Thing 4, walking pace. People in Spain are not in a hurry to get anywhere. I get really frustrated walking up behind people, almost everyone in Spain, because they all walk really, really slow. Just really, really, really slow, to me anyway. And I walk fast for an American. I've had other Americans tell me, you walk really, really fast. So I have a very hard time with the walking pace in Spain. I want to get to bakery and like get me a pastry, and you're like in front of me, and there are 5 of you blocking the entire sidewalk, and you're walking really, really slow. But everybody is like this here. Everybody just walks really, really slow. They don't seem to be in any hurry to get anywhere. So yeah, walking pace. Thing 5, queuing. Spanish people apparently don't like to wait in line. What they want to do is take a number and sit down and wait until you are called. This applies even in some cases where you have made an appointment for a specific time. When I went to my appointment to get a foreigner's identification card, which is the thing that you have to do if you're an immigrant in Spain, so that you have a means of identification, I made an appointment for a specific time that I had to be there. And when I showed up, they gave me a number, and I sat and I waited for like 3 hours. And they saw me in the order in which I arrived, which drove me fucking crazy. I was like, what is the point of making an appointment for a specific time if you're just gonna give me a number and see me in the order I showed up? So yeah, queuing. Thing 6, server etiquette. So I knew coming over that tipping was not a thing here. I mean, you can do it if you want to, but it is not expected at all in the same way that it is in the United States, where it's practically mandatory. What I wasn't aware of is that your server, once they've given you your food, once they've taken your food order and given you your food, they just sort of go away. And if you want anything else, or if you want your check, you have to go get them or flag them down. There are actually some pretty humorous stories about like Americans just sort of sitting at tables waiting for like 30 minutes for their server to come back to them because they did not know this. And I didn't know this. I was like, where is our server the first time we went out to eat? And I had to go inside and finally ask them to bring back our check. And since then, I've seen people do that exact same thing. It just sort of seems to be expected. Your server just sort of leaves you alone unless you come and get them and ask them for something. So yeah, server etiquette. Thing 6, contactless payments. So in the United States, sometimes you might buy something like with a virtual card on your phone, like at a fancy place or, you know, like at a very technological store. Here, everybody does electronic contactless payments. Revolut gives us a virtual card. We don't have a physical one. And everybody, I mean, like the fruit vendor has a little machine that can accept like the electronic contactless payments. So you can pay with everything from your phone, which is kind of cool. Thing 7, smiling. You know this thing Americans do, like when we make eye contact, we smile and we say hello. Spanish people do not do that. If you make eye contact, you just make eye contact and you move on. And Spanish people generally won't smile unless you say something that they think is funny or you're deep into a conversation. Like they don't smile just at you, especially when they first meet you, which is a little disconcerting. Yeah, smiling. So there you go. 7 things that surprised me about living in Barcelona. Life update. Things are going pretty well. It's been sort of a frenzied 2 weeks trying to get the apartment livable, but as you can see, we have furniture, we have a bed to sleep on, which we didn't at first, so I'm very happy that it's here. Most of the furniture's here, put together. We're now just buying smaller things that we need, cutlery, dishes, cooking implements, that kind of stuff, sort of filling things out. Justin's job seems to be going pretty well. His company seems to care a lot about their corporate culture, so they have a lot of sort of interaction sort of built in. Like they do this thing where they buy everybody lunch once a month and they all eat lunch together. So he seems to be doing really well. He likes his job so far. That's really good. I have a Spanish tutor. I've been trying for months to learn Spanish on my own, and while I'm making progress in terms of reading Spanish, in terms of speaking and understanding, it just wasn't happening. So Justin and I talked, and we agreed that I would hire a tutor. So that's been really helpful. I've already learned a lot that I probably wouldn't have learned on my own, particularly about pronunciation and accents and spelling. So hopefully that will help me actually be able to speak and understand. Actually, I'm finding that is the hardest part, is understanding spoken Spanish. It's very, very, very difficult. So things are going well. The big news. So the big news is, I think I told a lot of you before we left that we were going to sort of do a 3-month trial period, right? So we were going to be here for 3 months, and then we would make a decision about whether or not we wanted to stay long term. But the reality of our lives is that we've made a number of decisions that have sort of locked us in to staying here. The big one is the lease. So the way a permanent lease works in Barcelona, I think this is a Spanish thing, or it could just be a Barcelona thing, I'm not sure. It's generally at least 5 years. And if you cut out before the end of the 5 years, you have to pay a penalty. And the less time you spend in the apartment before you leave, the higher that penalty is. So if you leave like in the first 6 months after you sign the lease, the penalty is huge. I'm talking thousands and thousands of dollars. It gets less, it drops off significantly after 6 months, but it's still a lot of money. If you make it to the first year, then you can buy your way out of the rest of the lease by paying 1 month's rent for every year in the contract that you didn't stay. So there's that, and there's also just the amount of money that we have spent to secure the apartment. The money that we spent on the reserves, I had a whole video talking about that, but also then the money that we had to spend on the deposit, the first month's rent, all of that kind of stuff. It was not cheap. And then all of the money that we spent to furnish the apartment. When I said that we placed the biggest IKEA order I've ever seen, I wasn't kidding. It was thousands of dollars to buy enough furniture to furnish the entire apartment. And the amount of work that we've put into putting things together and sort of getting the apartment like to where we want it to be, it just doesn't make any sense to turn around like a month later and be like, well, bye. In addition to the vast amount of money that would cost us in terms of breaking the lease. So we're gonna stay. We're gonna stay at least a year. Maybe longer. I think probably longer. I don't know. We'll have to see how the first year goes, but we're staying here at least a year. It just doesn't make any sense financially or logistically to stay less time than that. So what does that mean in terms of immediate next steps? I need to go back to the United States because we have a house and we have possessions and we have all kinds of things that need to be wrapped up there. So we're talking about me going back to the US sometime in mid-September to do all of that. I'll probably sell our cars. I'll need to move all of our possessions out of our house. I think we've also decided that we're probably going to rent the house because we want to hang on to it for a variety of reasons. One of the big ones is that we'll never find a mortgage that good with that low an interest rate ever again in the United States. So yeah, we've done a lot of work before we left to make the house ready to rent, but I have to actually go back to talk to a rental company because we're going to have a property management company handle it, and I need to get all of our crap out of it, which means I need to find a storage unit big enough to store all of our possessions, and I actually have to arrange to have them all moved. So I'll probably be there at least 2 weeks, and then I will fly back to Spain. So yeah, that's what's happening with us. We will be in Spain for at least a year, maybe longer. Yeah, so I love you all. Bye.